Being a minimalist and enjoying creative hobbies can be quite a challenge sometimes. All the tools, materials, projects, stuff can accumulate rapidly or slowly but steadily, and the result is the same, feeling overwhelmed. I've seen quite a few comments here on this channel and on other minimalist channels where people share their struggles with keeping their hobbies manageable in a minimalist way. So today I want to share some tips how to enjoy hobbies without cluttering your space. Everything is based on my own experience, and I will use my personal hobbies as an example in this video. And I'm into crocheting, knitting, sewing, embroidery, drawing, and making paper collages. And also at the moment I don't have a long-term home, so I have to keep all my projects and supplies under quite a strict control. So I have 6 tips for you and I hope that you will find them helpful. Go old school. Fancy and modern supplies are very fun to have, but in many situations you can do completely without them. It's so much fun to find a creative purpose of some mundane things, mundane items that you have at home and use them for your hobbies. For example, I use regular bowls for yarn instead of buying special purpose yarn bowls. I don't have a yarn winder, so I do everything by hand, and for winding skeins into bowls, I use a chair. I also don't have special mats for blocking knitted items. I use regular bath towels for that. If you don't have something for your hobby, don't rush to buy it. Just look around your apartment and see what you can use instead. Being inventive is very exciting. Prioritize. It took me a while to arrive at a point when I don't have a bunch of projects in process at once. Even a half year ago, the situation was a bit different. I think that I felt that very special rush of impatience to do everything and that anxiety that I won't have enough time to do what I really want to do, or fear that I won't have access to the materials that I need. And of course, it's kind of an echo of scarcity mentality. So now I'm more disciplined in this way, which allows me to focus on one or at most 2 projects at once without overcluttering my mind space as well. By prioritizing your projects, you invite more joy and easiness in handling everything, and also thus you can deepen and improve your skills instead of just multiplying different projects. Organize visibly. This is pretty important, as I've seen quite a few crafters and artists that have gone too passionate with their stashes of supplies. Impulse hobby buys are a thing, and sometimes they are even more difficult to tame than impulse buys of clothes or home decor, and that's where visible organization is so helpful, because it helps you not to turn a blind eye on your hobby clutter. I always try to keep my supplies seen and very visible. This trick also helps me feel inspired and motivated to create more. Especially when I see that my stash is pretty small and very manageable. It's like with cooking, when too many ingredients in a recipe can be pretty demotivating. Start cheap. Minimalism is not only about making the most of less stuff, but also living by the means that you have at the moment. When I just learned to knit, I had my mom's old needles and I randomly bought circular needles of just one size and knitted everything with them, because I just wanted to make sure I love the process. Now I have much better needles and I hope to get even more sometimes when I have this opportunity, but it's very important to start cheap when you are just testing the waters of a new hobby. Try to find something more affordable and as less intimidating as possible. For beginner collages, it's not necessary to buy cutting boards, X-Acto knife, and sometimes pricey vintage books. Just regular scissors and all types of scraps will do. The trial period is very sweet and exciting, so try to make it light without any serious strings attached. There's no such thing as failure in hobbies, so my advice is try to buy expensive, more or less expensive tools and supplies only when you are 100% sure that you will use them, and most importantly, you will be able to learn how to use them. Do not compare yourself. This bitter prison of self-comparison that crushes our hearts not only in personal and professional life, but in our hobby realm as well. We humans often search communities of like-minded people, and together with support, inspiration, and a sense of belonging, we can also get a feeling of being inferior to others. And this can relate not only to our skills that we are meant to develop joyfully without any pressure, but also this relates to the tools and supplies. There always will be someone who knows better and owns better. It's kind of inevitable. But this doesn't mean that we should throw ourselves into a fantasy race of acquiring more tools, materials, supplies, courses, patterns, just anything to have a feeling that you are keeping up with a crowd and that you belong to some certain group of people. All these can potentially lead to clutter, disappointment, and sourness. Give yourself the freedom to give up. I cannot stress enough the importance of one simple thing. You can always stop doing something if that will make you feel better. Experiment, rotate, repurpose, and recalibrate your hobbies however you want. Once I gave up my serious beginnings in scrapbooking, but later on I just fell in love with collaging, which is practically the same in a way. And I've recently sold the sewing machine because it just happened that we have to move and I physically cannot transport it at the moment because we don't have any final destination yet. I wanted to have a sewing machine so bad, and my lovely subscribers sponsored this wish item, and I bought the machine in the beginning of the year. I've made awesome things with it, which make me very happy. And now it's gone to a new owner, a sweet young mom who is an immigrant as well. And I spent the money from reselling the sewing machine on buying interchangeable knitting needles that I actually needed and that I'm using now every given day. If you're done with something, don't feel guilty or down. Try to feel empowered to change and to free space for something else that is more exciting for you at the moment. The only prescription for me is to have 1,000 interests. Hobbies take away the tension of our everyday worries. They clear up the space in our minds and become safe harbors where we can always return for support and motivation. Feel free to share in the comments your thoughts, whether you think that the minimalist mindset can be applied to hobbies and maybe how you are doing that or what struggles you encounter on this road. And thank you so much for being here and watching, dear friends. Your time and attention are a gift. And huge thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon and other tipping platforms, because thanks to you, this channel exists. And for now, be safe and keep your heart open. And I will see you soon. Пока-пока.